Public Information Officer for the Prince George's County Department of Public Works and Transportation. I will be the host for tonight's meeting. First, how many of you recognize the song that was played on the intro slide? You can put it in the chat box.
Let It Snow.
Oh, very good. For the snow enthusiasts, they may actually like the lyrics, but for others, maybe not so much. Nevertheless, we are pleased that you have elected to spend this evening with us as we share winter tips and valuable information as you prepare for the winter season. I would like to go over a couple of housekeeping tips before we hear from our incredible presenters. Please remain muted. If you are a presenter, please turn on your camera and step onto the virtual platform when it is your time to present. If you have questions, please place them in the chat box. The representatives from the various agencies will answer your questions. At this time, I would like to introduce the Prince George's County Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Government Infrastructure, Technology, and Environmental Services Office of the County Executive, Mr. Floyd Holt. Please welcome Mr. Floyd Holt.
Good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to join you tonight on behalf of the County Executive to welcome you to the 2020 Snow Summit. We certainly appreciate all of you, our community partners and internal agencies, as we present vital information about our winter operations, as well as outline resources available as we prepare for the winter season. As Paulette indicated, you'll hear from a number of presenters and have the opportunity to ask questions and seek clarifications as we discuss our preparedness for the upcoming season. You may recall that 2 years ago, Mother Nature beat us to the punch, dropping a mix of snow and sleet on November the 17th. But we got her this year. And we look forward to your support as we galvanize and mobilize to keep the roads clear and the streets flowing. Again, I want to thank our partners, our agencies for all their support and participation as we seek to make winter operations seamless for the citizens of Prince George's County. I'll turn it back to our moderator.
Thank you so much, Mr. Holt, for that heartfelt message. I'd also like to acknowledge our Director of DPW&T, Terry Bellamy, our Deputy Directors, Martin Harris and Gwendolyn Clerkley, and hopefully we will hear from them a little later on. I'd also like to thank our Zoom host, Miss Mary McLean, and our Zoom co-host, Tiffany Miner and Andrea Lasker. To our partners and stakeholders, WSSC Water, Vision Zero Prince George's County Office of Emergency Management, MDOT State Highway Administration, Prince George's County Department of Permitting, Inspections and Enforcement, Prince George's County Fire EMS, Prince George's County Department of the Environment, and the Prince George's County Office of Community Relations. Thank you for your input and valuable information that you will present tonight. First up, we have Ms. Taylor Brown with the Office of Emergency Management. Ms. Brown, please step to the platform.
Thank you so much, Ms. Paulette. Good evening, everyone. My name is Taylor Brown. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Prince George's County Office of Homeland Security and Office of Emergency Management. I want to take this opportunity to first thank our partner agency, the Department of Public Works and Transportation, for allowing us this opportunity to come together, even though it's not traditional, but still able to provide that information to the community as we prepare for our winter weather in our winter season, excuse me. So next slide, please. Thank you. So here at the Office of Emergency Management, we tend to encourage our residents to have a basic emergency kit already prepared. including things like medication, food, water, blankets, batteries, etc. So this allows you to be prepared for any kind of an emergency. And then it also allows you the opportunity to easily prepare for changing seasons, such as winter, because then all you'll have to do is drop those items into your already prepared emergency kit. So with the winter weather approaching, we wanted to take this time to highlight some specific items that will be helpful to you as we approach winter. Specifically for your home, it's always important to have rock salt or an environmentally safe product to melt ice on walkways and to melt snow. Always sand and gravel to go on your driveways and all your walkways and sidewalks. Snow shovels, snow plows, that kind of stuff, so that you can shovel your snow, make your way out of your home. Heating fuel like propane, kerosene, or if you have a fireplace, something like dry wood, it's important to store those items as well. And then of course, adequate clothing and blankets to keep yourself warm, coats, hats, mittens, gloves, etc. All of those items are great for you to place into your emergency kit so that in the event of winter weather, you're prepared. And similar to your car, having a shovel, something to scrape ice off of your windows, water, food, flashlight, extra clothing, jumper cables in case you get stuck out and your car doesn't start, road salt and sand, so that in case, again, you're stuck, you're able to get out, hopefully, and emergency flares in the event that you're not able to get out and you want to make people around you aware that you're there. Those are just a few items that you can add to your winter kit, but it's always important to build your emergency kit as we approach the winter months. Next slide, please. And as is equally important in preparing your vehicle and yourself, you also want to prepare your home. So obviously you want to insulate your walls, attics, weather strip any doors, openings. The important thing is that you want to seal any gaps that will prevent cold air from coming into your home. Clear your rain gutters, repair roof leaks, cut away any tree branches that can fall on a house. Snow can be very heavy. The last thing you want is a branch piled with snow falling on top of your roof in the middle of a storm. Make sure you maintain your heating equipment, your chimneys, have them cleaned, professionally inspected if you're able to. Insulate your pipes. Sometimes, you hear people say, allow your faucets to do a tiny drip during cold weather just to avoid freezing pipes. Keep your fuel burning equipment vented to the outside and kept clear, no debris or anything blocking it from the outside. Always keep fire extinguishers on hand, but more importantly, also making sure that those in your home and those visiting your home know how to use them properly. Learn how to shut off your exterior and interior water valves. That's very important in the event a pipe bursts. And then also check the condition of your roof. Make sure you don't have damaged or loose or missing shingles. Next slide, please. Of course, it's always important to be informed. The Prince George's County has an awesome feature called Alert Prince George's. It's free. You can sign up free. You'll learn information about traffic, power outages, weather, flooded areas, anything that would pertain to something in your area, you will be able to get notifications on if you sign up for the Alert My PGC program. And the Office of Emergency Management also has what we like to call our Preparedness Center on our website. So if you were to visit the link on this slide, it will give you different tools and resources that will allow you to prepare for various emergencies and help you prepare. And next slide, please. Last but not least, another way to be informed is to download the Prince George's County Office of Emergency mobile app. It is, again, 100% free. You can find it in your app store. And this is another way where you can keep all of your emergency information handy. You can build a plan, store your plan in the app, and it will help you provide, it provides resources and tools so that you are able to I guess I'm trying to say, you're able to prepare yourself and prepare your family in the event of an emergency. And you'll also receive those Alert Prince George's notifications through the Prince George's OEM app. So it's definitely something I did not know that we had until recently. So I'm so happy to be able to encourage everyone in the county to please, please, please download Prince George's County OEM app. Thank you, Ms. Paulette, for your time. I'm going to drop my contact information in the chat. If anyone has any questions or concerns, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brown, for that valuable information. Next up, we have Jerry Irvine from WSSC Water.
Good evening, everyone. Glad to be with you. It's funny, the kickoff song tonight was "Let It Snow," but for WSSC Water, snow isn't necessarily our biggest issue. It really comes down to really cold weather, which what we're talking about there is when the cold water in the Potomac and Patuxent, particularly the Potomac River, gets cold. That cold water gets into our older pipes, and that's when we see a whole bunch of breaks at once. If people remember the polar vortex a few years ago, that was sort of peak cold water, and we saw a lot of breaks. But in general, the winter season is the busy season. Um, when we see breaks in non-winter months, we see maybe 5 to 10 breaks a day. Um, as you see on this slide, the winter's coming slide, we see 1,800 breaks a year, but of those, 1,200 of those come between November, like right now, through February. So we're getting into it. This is our busy season. So we'll see 5 to 10 breaks in a non-winter day. On a busy day in the winter, we'll see 30 or more. So next slide on that. And so when we see one thing we like to stress is that we don't have, and no water utility in the country has, a wall-to-wall or pipe-to-pipe, better said, sensor system. So when a water main breaks, quite often it's one of our crew members driving by, but really the most common occurrence of how we find out about a break is from you, our customer. So we really want to encourage you, if you see, I mean, you're hearing this a lot, and I know this is maybe the wrong context, but if you see something, say something. So if you see a break, do please give us a call. You're not bugging us, and we do. Oftentimes, our customers are our front line. They're our eyes and ears. And so we've got on this slide here. There are 3 ways to get to us. There's that number, that 301-206-4002 number. There's that email address. We also have an app, and you can do lots of things, pay your bills, but you can also report a water main break or other problems on that app. One thing I want to stress here is that when it does get really busy, when we get into, multiple days of frozen, water, or sorry, frozen, freezing temperatures and that kind of water coming through our pipes, don't hang out on hold. If that's bothering you, you send an email into that emergency call center at wsscwater.com. That all goes to the same place. All that, the app has a reporting feature, the phone number, and that email all goes to the same place. So don't get frustrated if you're feeling like you're on hold for 40 minutes. Don't do that. Hop off, send us email. That just helps us understand, lots of people are reporting this break. So, and then the other part of this slide is just letting you know, and I'll just summarize by saying there are a number of steps. An inspector goes out, sees the break. Yep, it's a break, sends it into the dispatch center. From soup to nuts, from beginning of that process until we get out there and fix that break in non-winter months and non-blizzard and non-extreme weather times. That's about a 6-hour job. But if we go on to that next slide, what we want to stress though is that when we get into a blizzard situation where there's snow on the ground that's making everybody, and they're asking everybody to get off the roads, or like the polar vortex when we had 40, 50 breaks a day, that's when we want you to start thinking about the winter being different than other times, because at that time you need to store some water. And my predecessor mentioned this, so I won't go over it too much, but we want you to make sure that, especially during these winter months, if there's a prolonged outage, that you have enough water stored up that you can 1 to 2 gallons per person per day is the sort of that's the standard rule there. Store enough to have about 3 days. And then one thing we always want to remind folks about is don't forget your pets when you're thinking about your water, depending on the size of your pet or whatever, but you just don't forget them when you're thinking about that. And then just one other point on this slide. People everybody on this call on this virtual meeting may already know this, but I just have to say it because not everybody gets it. Your water system that feeds your shower and your dishwasher and your sink and all that is the same thing that feeds your toilet. And so you can do non-potable water, but don't forget to do that type of storage as well, because believe me, you run out when water gets shut off, that's also shutting off your toilet. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking through your planning. Next slide. And then just one thing we want to remind people in this context is that if your pipe bursts or you see water or icy conditions in your driveway and you're like, oh, geez, there must be some type of an issue with the pipes, there are still people who don't quite flip the switch to understand everything from your property line into your home, any pipe that breaks, you need to call a plumber. That's a you thing. Anything from the property line out to the street, that's on us. Now, if you have any question, that's why we have that number, that 301-206-4002 number. If you're not sure, of course, call us and we will absolutely come out and inspect it. But we would like to put this reminder in that not all pipes are water pipes are WSSE pipes. So it may be obvious to some, but we just want to put that reminder out there. And then just finally on this last slide, just some tips. We already talked about some of it, so I won't belabor it. The biggest thing is to seal up areas where you have a pipe that's on an external wall, and you go out and you can just touch that wall and you can feel it being cold. Well, that's getting your pipes into a place where they could possibly burst, and so that's a nightmare. If you can insulate that, do whatever you can to heat that area up. Obviously without doing anything silly like getting carbon monoxide in your house, but just do what you can to insulate those outside walls. As we said, put a drip to help, and when it gets real cold, just to keep that water flowing through. But I won't belabor this. It's all on our website at wssewater.com/winterize. And that has many more tips and other places you can think about helping get ready for the winter. And that is my time. I appreciate everybody. Thank you, Paulette.
Thank you so much, Mr. Irvine. Such valuable tips. And please follow the chat because Reverend Richardson, thank you so much. I see you really busy in the chat, providing additional information. Next up, we have from the Prince George's County Fire EMS Duty Chief Margo.
Sorry about that. Did you, is everyone there?
We can hear
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Assistant Fire Chief Christian Wargo. I'm the duty chief on D shift. I just wanted to go over some fire safety tips for the winter season. So next slide. So starting right about now, November till about February, March, when the weather gets cold is when we see a big uptick in our fire calls and actual working fires. So we just wanted to go over a few things to let people know what they need to do. The first thing is obviously, if your home is on fire, call 911 and get to a safe location. We always tell people to practice and plan with your families what we call EDIF, which is exit, drill in the home, and no two ways out. So your kids do it every October in school. Unfortunately, we're doing Zoom school right now, but everyone needs to practice that. Know two ways out, know your meeting points, and know where to meet, and go over that with all your family members. Next slide. So everyone will start heating their homes. Next slide, please. With your heating equipment, using your fireplaces, like she said, your chimneys. Sorry about that. So heating equipment is involved in 1 in every home fires, with 1 in every fire, 5 home deaths. So when you're using your fireplaces and you're taking the ashes out, we ask you that you put it in a metal container and take it outside the house. Do not leave it in a garage or any place where it could heat up and possibly start a fire. You want to check your chimney, have a licensed person come out and sweep your chimney, clean it out, and make sure it's working properly. We see a lot of older chimneys that start to break and move away, and they'll actually start in an attic fire or different things. So you always want to have it inspected once a year. Next slide. Anything that can burn, we want to keep 3 feet away from that heat source. So blankets, chairs, anything that could catch on fire, keep away. We really don't like seeing the portable heaters. I know some people have to use them, or the kerosene heaters inside. Just, we need to be very careful with them and move things away from them so they don't burn. One big thing is, do not change the kerosene in your kerosene heater inside the house. Take it outside, and definitely when it's not on. Don't ever use your space heaters or anything to dry clothes inside the house. We've seen a lot of incidents where that happens and the house catches on fire. And then, keep space heaters 3 feet away from your furniture. Next slide. So when we do have snow, ice, different storms throughout the winter, people are going to start to move and use generators. Generators are an excellent thing to keep your house warm and moving through those times, but we need to keep them outside. Too many times people keep them in carports or inside the house, and they produce carbon monoxide or CO poisoning. And we've had a lot of unfortunate incidents with that. So what we want to do and what we ask you to do is keep your carbon monoxide or keep your generator outside the house at a safe distance so you're not filling your home up with carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is not visible. You can't see it or smell it. So you won't find out until way too late if you're actually having a CO poisoning. Next slide. And lastly, we ask everyone to check their smoke detectors and CO alarms. Everyone should have a working smoke detector on all floors of their house and a CO detector within the residence. You should test them monthly. And if you need new batteries, change the batteries. We're also telling everyone they need to move to the new 10-year sealed unit, which should last you 10 years. You don't have to change the battery at all, but you still need to check it. CO detectors also now feature the 10-year sealed battery option. And then you should install a carbon monoxide detector in your home if you have any appliances that are not electric and that you burn natural or liquefied petroleum, gas, oil, wood, coal. So really anybody, you should have a CO detector in your house. So there are a few things that we like to go over, tell everybody. Unfortunately, we're going to have a lot of incidents. Right now, I'm looking at, unfortunately, a few calls coming out for house fires right now. So hopefully they're not. But as it gets colder, we need everybody to make sure we're doing the right thing and stay safe. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Duty Chief Wargo. That is just life-saving information that you've shared with us. And we really hope that this is a season where we can prepare and we can be a lot safer.
I have a question for the chief.
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding that a lot of the homes were built with a combination smoke and CO alarm detector in the ceiling. And from what I understand, that the carbon monoxide settles from the bottom and does not rise as quickly as smoke. So it's probably best to get one of the plug-in units that go from that you can plug in from the outlet at the floor to make sure that you're covered, because we did have a situation in the sanctuary where Brian Dowlery came and assisted us in a way that he should be commended for. But I just wanted to make sure that everyone, if that's accurate, if that's something that everyone should consider.
You're accurate. I like to have separate units. You should have smoke detectors on every floor, CO detectors in your basement in areas where you're using the cooking devices or gas for your heating. So,
Or a fireplace.
Yep, that's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And I would also like to encourage, if you have any additional questions, please place them in the chat and we will be sure to answer your questions. Next up, we have Dan Dornan with Department of Permitting Inspection and Enforcement. Tell us about the sidewalks and when we need to get those sidewalks clean.
Good evening, everyone. My name is, as Paulette indicated, Daniel Dornan. I am Special Assistant to the Director of the Department of Permitting, Inspections, and Enforcement, otherwise known as DPI. You're probably familiar with what we usually do, which is issue building permits and review plans and inspect construction and enforce the property standards for the county. But we are also responsible during the winter to make sure that public access sidewalks are free of excessive snow or ice, particularly after a major storm. So we'll be out there, and I want to take the next couple of minutes to talk about the program. Next slide, please. Our program is based upon the county ordinance, and it calls for the timely removal of snow and ice from paved sidewalks. Now, where does that apply and to whom does it apply to? It includes owners, tenants, and managers of commercial and residential properties with paved sidewalks adjacent to their properties, which are accessible to the public and in close proximity to a public roadway. The requirement on those parties, they must remove accumulated snow and or ice 2 inches or more from abutting sidewalks within 48 hours of the last snowflake that fell in a most recent major storm. And that includes ice as well as the snow itself. Next slide, please. This slide has caused us a little bit of consternation because we had to adjust our focus areas based upon COVID-19 restrictions. So we're still focused, importantly, on commercial establishments and apartment complexes. These are the major areas where you have a lot of traffic, a lot of interaction between automobiles and pedestrians, and we want to make sure that the sidewalks adjacent to these facilities are clear. We are no longer dealing with the issue of schools because they're generally not in session, so we took that criteria out. We also took out we left in state roads, but county primary roads, we want to focus on the high intensity areas where we're likely to see problems. We're eliminating the public gathering places because generally they're not in operation due to COVID. So we really have the top bullet and the last bullet is the focus. Now, residential communities, we look at only if we get a 311 complaint. If we do, we put a reminder notice, a door hanger on the front doors of the homes along both sides of the block where the violations are reported, and then we close the case. So we're not out there to bug the public, but we are to remind the public that this is a safety issue for our pedestrians, as well as people coming along in cars or trucks. Next, please. Major sequence of events. What happens? Well, really 24 hours before the forecast of a major snow event, our managers and our inspectors get ready for the snow removal inspection program. So once the last snowflake has dropped from the event and there's 2 or more inches of snow on the ground, the clock begins for us. 24 hours after that point, inspectors go out, and we've got basically 57 inspectors that are involved in this program. And they go out and they observe the assigned areas and they provide reminder notices or door hangers where they see problems with over 2 inches of snow and or ice, but we don't issue any citations. Another 24 hours passes, we go back out and we look to see where we had given notices before. And if there is still a problem, we may issue a violation notice or in particular, up to $100 citation where appropriate to document the results for the day. We're looking for major areas of issue with pedestrians, a lot of pedestrians. So we want to make sure that the property owners in those cases or apartments take care of business. This process repeats daily until there is less than 2 inches of snow and or ice on the sidewalks. Thing I want to remind everyone about, as the WSSC person pointed out, as John Snow once said, or many times said, winter is coming. So let's all be prepared and let's look out for our fellow neighbors too, because you may have in a residential area people that aren't able to get out and shovel the snow. If you could work with your neighbors or in the communities to facilitate that, that would be great. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a great evening and a great Thanksgiving next week.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dornan. I also like to acknowledge we have Mayor Martin, a town of Fairmont Heights, who's dropped by this evening. Thank you so much for participating in our snow summit this evening. Next up, we have Jennifer Hawkins, Office of Community Relations. Ms. Hawkins.
Hello.
We can hear
Yes.
you.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I couldn't get on the line earlier. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Hawkins, can you please begin?
Yes. Can you see me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Hawkins, and I am the program manager of the new and award-winning 311 On the Go program, which is a division of the Office of Community Relations where Yanisha Davis is the director. Next slide. For those of you who are familiar with 311, that is the system that you use to report or to request services from county government. The 311 call center is your one-stop shop call center when you have a concern or questions that you need answered about county government. Within the call center, we have call center representatives, which includes bilingual call takers. So we are able to also accommodate our Spanish-speaking communities. During a snowstorm, you can contact the 311 call center to report an issue dealing with snow. In addition to snow-related issues, any non-emergency related issue, you can contact 311 to submit a request for services. If you are experiencing an emergency, we do ask that you dial 911 for any public safety related matter. So when you call into the call center, you will be assisted by a customer service rep who will ask for your contact information. Once we receive your contact information, we will ask for the details of your concern. That information is then entered into our CSR system, which will route the information directly to the agency that's responsible for handling your concern. So I just want to reiterate that 311 is for non-emergency related concerns. You may go to the next slide. Now, during a snowstorm or a snow event, we are asking citizens to wait at least 48 hours before you call into the call center to request snow removal services. The reasoning behind that is that the crews are out from the Department of Public Works and Transportation. They are out shoveling snow from the major thoroughfares. Once they complete that task, they then move on to the secondary roadways and then out to our communities. So we want to allow them enough time to clear the streets. Now, after 48 hours, if your street has yet to be shoveled, by all means, call into the call center, 311, to request snow removal services. Next slide. In addition to snow removal services, there are other snow-related concerns you can report. If there is a blocked turning lane, you can call into the call center to make sure that street is cleared. If there is damage to your mailbox or to your property due to the snow removal process, you may call into the call center to report that damage. If after your roadway has been cleared and your street is icy or slippery, please by all means call into the call center to report that as well. And you just heard from Mr. Dan Dornan from the DPI agency, the Department of Permitting, Inspections, and Enforcement. If you have a neighbor or there's an establishment who have failed to clear their walkway after 48 hours, the snow has stopped falling, you may call into the call center so that the Code Enforcement Division can send an inspector out to provide a warning to that property owner. Next slide. So the 311 call center operates from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. And you can dial 311 or the 10-digit number 301-883-4748. And I did want to mention during the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, the call center is handling COVID-related calls. That office is open from 7 p.m. until 4 a.m. in the morning. So if you are out and about and you see an establishment that is not following the proper protocol, by all means, call into the 311 call center and report it. It is extremely important that we are all following the rules that are in place for our safety. And lastly, before I conclude, I just want to share some very exciting news with you. In January of 2021, we are launching the new PGC 311 customer service request system. We are very excited. This is state-of-the-art technology, which we believe will improve the process of how you engage your county government. So you will hear more information about that in the very near future. Thank you and have a happy holiday.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hawkins, for that presentation. I know quite often when it snows, we want to know what to do with our trash. And so we have Brittany Garner from Department of the Environment. If you could please step up to the platform with your presentation, please.
Okay.
Hello, hello, and good evening. Thank you, Public Works, for inviting us. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Brittany Garner with the Department of the Environment, Public Information Officer. The Department of the Environment works towards keeping Prince George's clean and green, but I'm just going to focus on our services that are going to be impacted. So next slide. So of course, that means our trash and recycling services as far as inclement weather goes. We remind folks that all of our curbside collection services, including trash, recycling, yard trim, and bulky trash pickup, can be delayed or suspended due to the weather. And this is for thunderstorms and also high wind warnings, but especially for snow. So just in the case for if anything gets delayed for strong winds, we ask that folks just go ahead and secure your bins and your lids as much as you can if you put a heavy item on top, just to prevent the cart from going anywhere and having any trash or litter spill over. So in the event that there is inclement weather and we have snow that suspends any of the curbside collections for one day. For example, if you are to receive recycling or trash on Tuesday and is suspended, that day will then move the next day after regular collections. So hopefully the graphic offers a little aid. So if your collections are suspended on Tuesday, they will be picked up after Wednesday's regular collections. And as after then, if you still don't have your items picked up, to then submit a 311 request. We, of course, will do everything that we can to make sure that we're posting the information on our website, that on our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as updating 311. So you can always visit our website at environment.mypgc.us, or you can contact County Click 311. Next slide. So in the event that the trash or recycling is suspended for 2 consecutive days, if you receive your collection on Tuesday and or Wednesday, and that collection is suspended due to weather, so that means both Tuesday and Wednesday were suspended, both of those days will be collected the following week. Next slide. All right, and if there is any suspension on Mondays for yard trim, the same applies as well, that it will move to the following week and regular collections will resume. For For bulky trash, if you have an appointment, we will of course notify you and give you a new appointment date within the next 7 days. So we just ask folks to do the best that you can. If you do receive this notice, to please bring the items back in. And if you can put them back out. I know for big bulky items, but this is for the safety of all of our workers as well as just because of the snow. And in general, all of our collections will occur anytime from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we do ask that if for whatever reason you need to make a request, that the 311 request, that it does not happen until after 8 p.m. Next slide. Next slide, please. There you go. But also in general, because the curbside collection can be affected, that's going to mean a multitude of our facilities that would be affected, including the landfill, our organics composting facility, the convenience centers. Are we going to the next slide? Thank you. There you go. So this is just all the facilities that can be impacted due to any of the weather related conditions, like I said, including the landfill, which hosts our electronic recycling and household hazardous acceptance sites, scrap tire, appliance disposal, as well as our public convenience centers on Brown Station Road and in Brandywine. Awesome. And next slide. So just wanted to remind you again that we will post all of these updates on our website as well as the main website. You can also contact County Click 311, and it wasn't included in our presentation, but again, from WSSC to not forget about our pets. That reminding folks that it is unlawful and illegal to leave your pets or your dogs chained outside. It is considered animal cruelty, especially with the dropping temperatures during winter. So if you see this, please call our Animal Services Division anytime at 301-780-7200. That's 301-780-7200 to report any animal cruelty complaints. But of course, all of this information is on our website. Thank you all so much, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you so much, Ms. Garner.
I have a question.
Okay.
This is Bill Howard again in the sanctuary. In terms of the waste collection, could there be any emphasis to make sure that people are putting their trash in a bag before, a securely tied bag before they put it in the container? Because there are a lot of people that are just putting the trash in the container, and it just blows out with a lot of private information like prescriptions and bills and things like that that they should not want to have exposed. So if that could be also emphasized, I would appreciate that. And your point about the heavy weight with a brick, just a simple brick keeps the lids from opening. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, definitely. And a really good question. That is definitely a concern of ours. And especially with trash, hopefully if you've seen on our website that we do reiterate to secure bag trash, especially not just because there is a problem, but also because of the pandemic. We don't want any personal protective equipment getting out and having any issue with any contact. So yes, we are emphasizing making sure that the bags are secure and closed before going in, but we'll make sure that we continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And so I also, if we could please, we have about 3 more presentations in a short period of time. So I'd like to move on to our Vision Zero Prince George's, but I'd also like to ask if the different departments can check the chat box. We have several questions that are being asked, and we'd like to be able to answer them tonight. So next up, we have Andrea Laska with Vision Zero Prince George's. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Andrea Lausgren, and I'm the coordinator of Vision Zero Prince George's County. And I'm pleased to be with you this evening to focus on safety during the winter season, in particular, winter driving and roadway safety. Next slide, please. Please be aware, that stopping distance is reduced when the pavement is wet or icy, and we need to be able to be looking for tips for traveling in winter weather. For example, you should get your car serviced, go over your vehicle safety checklist. Lights, we want you to be seen and we want you to be able to see. Check your windshield wipers and defrosters, tires, and like was said earlier, carry items in your vehicles that you might need in case of an emergency. Next slide, please. So we'd like to turn our attention to a very important countywide effort called Vision Zero. Next slide, please. Vision Zero is a commitment to eliminate traffic-related serious injuries and deaths by the year 2040. And we focus on road and transportation design, plus education and safety measures for all roadway users. This is a collaborative community effort, part of a regional and statewide effort. And DPW&T is the lead for the county, and we partner with all the county agencies and state and community groups in order to make this happen. Next slide, please. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, 75% of pedestrian fatalities occur in the dark, and the fall and winter months bring less daylight and darker commuting hours, which can lead to even more crashes between cars and pedestrians or bicyclists. So every year, the end of daylight savings time is associated with a sharp increase in the number of pedestrians hit and injured or killed. When the clocks fall back, the evening commute gets darker and more dangerous. And we know that speed kills, that higher vehicle speeds increase the likelihood of, next slide, okay. We have an action plan which is measurable, and we have committed to work on a clear timeline. We are looking for input from residents and neighborhood associations. So please complete the Vision Zero suggestions survey, which is available on our website. Next slide. Engineering is one of the core components, and you will see new bike lanes with green paint and other safety measures like sidewalks and pedestrian signals as you travel in the county. And these are some of the images of recent improvements. We'd like to ask that you show your commitment to making our roads safer for everyone by taking the safety pledge. We also have a kid-friendly version of the safety pledge on our website. So we hope that you'll be able to look at that. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to end by saying that you can learn more about the actions that Prince George's County is taking to achieve Vision Zero and how you can help and be involved by visiting our website. And we'll put this information in the chat. Thank you all. It was a pleasure to be here tonight.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lasker, for that valuable information as it pertains to Vision Zero. Next up, we have our state partners. We have MDOT, State Highway Administration, Ms. Shannon Cohen, who will be making a presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shannon Coyne, and I am the Community Relations Manager for Prince George's County for the Maryland Department of Transportation State Highway Administration. Thank you for having us. We're so glad we can be a part of this conversation and go over MDOT SHA's plans and processes for snow operations. We have two shops that are responsible for Prince George's County. Those are our Laurel Maintenance Shop and our Upper Marlboro Maintenance Shop. And each shop then has 3 salt barns that feed into them. You can see on the map on the right, that shows the areas that each shop is responsible for. It's split up, and the Laurel shop is responsible for every state road north of US 50, with the exception of Maryland 200, including all of US 50 and US 50's associated ramps. Then Marlboro is responsible for every state road south of US 50. Next slide, please. When we're experiencing greater than 10 to 12 inches of snow, we basically have a process that each shop follows. So around 48 to 24 hours prior to the snow event is when we get together and discuss forecasts and models associated with the incoming event. We also go over each shop's equipment status, inventories of our salt and brine storage, and plans for pre-treating with salt brine. Then about 24 to 12 hours prior to the snow event is when we begin our pre-treating operations and apply salt brine to interstate and primary routes. Once pre-treating begins, the process continues until all roads are treated. This normally lasts about 8 to 4 hours prior to the event. Then 12 to 4 hours prior to the snow event, we have an MDOT SHA statewide conference call This also includes our sister agencies and partners. And then a plan is finalized and mobilization and reporting times for contractors are decided upon. 4 to 0 hours prior to the snow event is when the trucks are loaded with salt and each truck stands by at its designated locations. Operations begin as snow begins and continue until all routes have been cleared and shoulders have been addressed. We have a specific process that we follow for treating the roadways. This begins with pre-treating with salt brine. This is conducted as a proactive strategy prior to the onset of precipitation in order to prevent snow and ice from bonding to the pavement. Salt brine is an inexpensive material that contains a mixture of water and salt with a 23% concentration level and has a freeze point of -6 degrees Fahrenheit. Salt is applied at the onset of precipitation and plowing operations begin when there is approximately 2 inches or more of snow or slush covering the roadways. Plowing and salting operations then continue until the storm has ended and the roadways have been cleared. We have made an effort to reduce road salt usage and intensify environmentally friendly practices during winter operations. We've increased proactive anti-icing, which is when we apply the salt brine ahead of time, closely monitor salt application rates used, and increase personnel training in sensible salting operations. Crews work hard to keep roads passable during snowstorms, especially maintaining access to critical services such as hospitals. Next slide. We also have a web-based app that shares our snow operation process with citizens. This is called STORM, which stands for Statewide Transportation Operations Response Map. This is a plow tracker app that helps keep citizens informed of real-time snow removal efforts. How it works, and you can see a screen grab on the right that shows what it looks like, is citizens basically put in their address, and from there, they're able to see the snow trucks and plows where they are in relation to where the address that they put in. If citizens still have other concerns that are not addressed through the STORM application, they can also submit a CCMS, which stands for our Customer Care Management System ticket. And as always, we also like to remind drivers of some important snow safety messages. We advise drivers to stay behind the snow plows and plow trains. The unplowed roads are ahead of them, and these are going to be the most dangerous area to be. The safest place is behind the snow plows. We also ask motorists to clear snow completely off vehicles before driving. A clean vehicle provides increased visibility, and packed snow on top of cars can become dangerous projectiles in the days after a storm. This is everything for M.SHA. Thank you guys so much for having us. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to go ahead and put my information in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Coyne. We really appreciate the partnership that we have with State Highway Administration. And finally, we have from the Department of Public Works and Transportation, Ms. Mary Holden.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to do a presentation from the Office of Highway Maintenance. I am a principal planner within the Office of Highway Maintenance. There's been so much great information tonight about all different aspects of snow. But we're going to go over what we do for Prince George's County on county maintained roads in Prince George's County. If you could go to the next slide, please. So just to let you know that we are getting ready for snow. Back on October the 23rd, we had our dry run exercise. The purpose of the dry run exercise is to test and assess our snow and ice control planning efforts. Snow and ice control planning is a 12-month process. And during October, we test to see, you know, any issues, any problems, where we could improve things. So over 400 staff reported for the dry run. We had 151 trucks with plows and spreaders out on the roadway. We drove all the county roads during the dry run exercise, which is over 2,000 miles of roadways. So what's new and different this year, which is new and different for everyone, is the COVID-19 pandemic. So generally this year we instituted new virtual reporting, similar to what we're doing in the Zoom call, so that our critical people could work from home and be in the process, but they didn't necessarily need to be physically there. So we did a big exercise on that. We also enhanced our safety and disinfection procedures. We run these trucks 24 hours a day in 12-hour shifts. We have people coming and going out of these trucks. So we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to be safe for our employees. Next slide, please. So this is about accomplishing the work. So Prince George's County is segmented into 5 snow districts, as you can see on the map in the center. District 1 is in the northern part of the county. They work out of the Glendale Maintenance Shop. So all of the roads in the northern part of the county are serviced by our Glendale shop. Down in the south part of the county, you have Snow District 4. All those roads are serviced out of our Brandywine Maintenance Shop. And in the center of the county, you have Snow District 2, Snow District 3, and Snow District 5. So all of those snow districts run out of our Ritchie facility in Forestville, and that's where they work from. So we have 5 snow districts, 3 maintenance locations. We have over 75 snow maps in our routes. And I would just want to put a special thank you to our partners at the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning and the Department of the Environment. They participate with the Department of Public Works and Transportation actually in our snow plowing effort. So every Public Works employee has a role in the plan. And like I said, men and women work 24 hours a day and 12-hour shifts to treat and clear the roadways. Next slide, please. So often people are asking us, I saw in the chat earlier where somebody had asked, how long is it going to take for my road to get serviced? So it really depends upon where you live and in the county. So our routes are prioritized by primary roads, secondary roads, and residential. So first thing we do during a snowstorm is make sure that our primary and secondary roads are serviced first. Those are our major roads, and so we need to make sure that the public safety and other emergency vehicles can travel in those areas. Once those primary and secondary roadways are clear, we move into our residential areas to provide service. So if you live in a small residential area, or you live in a cul-de-sac or somewhere, more off the beaten path or further away from a primary or secondary road, it will take longer for the snowplows to get there. But we can assure you that our crews work as long as necessary to clear all the roadways, salting, sanding, or plowing until all the roadways are clear. So people ask us often, what can they do to assist us? What can our citizens do to assist the road crews? So these are just some tips that are really important, because as more efficiently that we can work, we can get to people quicker. So please move and keep your vehicles off snow emergency routes. Park in your driveway or another off-road location whenever possible. As the snowplow comes through, especially in some of our tight communities, if there's a lot of cars parked alongside the roadways, it makes it very difficult to maneuver the plow, and it makes it more difficult to remove more snow from those communities. So we're also asking, if you don't have a driveway or there's nowhere you can park off site, if everyone in your neighborhood could park on the even side of the street, then it would give a wider path for us to move through those roadways and clear those streets. This one I think is pretty important. If the road conditions are bad and we're having a major storm, we're asking you to stay home. If you think it's too bad to go out, it probably is. We've had problems in years past when we've had large storms that people go out in their cars only to find that they really can't maneuver the streets, and then they abandon the road abandon their car in the road, which makes our job very difficult. And the final thing is to make sure you're keeping your storm drain inlets clear so your melting snow can flow off the roadway and into the storm drain system. I was also asked to remind everyone, as Jennifer Hawkins did a great job when she did her presentation, is to please wait 48 hours after the storm ends before you contact 311. 311 will take all of those complaints. They will forward them to the Department of Public Works and Transportation, and we will have inspectors in the field checking all those areas to make sure that everything has been completed. Next slide, please. We're asking you to stay informed. This is really important. The Department of Public Works and Transportation has a Facebook account, Instagram, Twitter. We put all kinds of information out there. It's readily accessible. We're going to update you on the roads. A lot of times we'll have pictures of what's going on the roadway, the road conditions that are out there. And also please visit our website. There's lots of information is there also. If you could please go to the next slide. Okay, so we also have an app, the PG Center Trip app, and actually there is lots of great information in there. You can see what road temperatures are. You can actually get access to the road cameras to see more information. So please just, all of our information is out there. We want to share with everyone so everyone stays safe. Please visit our website and the PG Center Trip app for any more information on our snow and ice control program. I thank you, Paulette.
No, I thank you. That was a lot of information. And I know tonight we've shared so much information with our guests. And I know there are probably still some questions. I'd like to thank Mr. Holloway for sending us, I think he sent us about 8 questions. And Mr. Holloway, guess what? We answered all your questions for you. We may not necessarily be able to go over all of them tonight, but this PowerPoint presentation will be on our website, and hopefully for our presenters, they will have this presentation on their website as well. So I'd like to be respectful of time. It is now 7:06. And at this time, I'd like to say, of course, stay safe and be well. But if we could have a few words from Director Terry Bellamy of Department of Public Works and Transportation, that would be great. Mr. Bellamy.
Thank you. Thank you, Paulette, and thank all of our partners for taking an hour out of your Thursday evening to hear some very important information. As everybody has said, this is a very unique winter we're approaching, and we need your assistance as we try to do what has not been done before, is to run a virtual snow program and also keeping the men and women safe as we run this program. So all of your questions was very important to us and our partners as we try to improve upon the success we've had in previous years. So Paulette, and to our community partners, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bellamy. And I know we have our Deputy Director, Martin Harris, and Deputy Director, Gwendolyn Clerkley. I know you just wanted to say a few words or say goodbye to our guests, but this is not goodbye, actually. So please contact us for any additional information that you need. And there's a lot of contact information in the chat, but again, you certainly can reach us at DPW&T. Mr. Harris, or?
Yeah. I just want to thank everybody for participating in this. As I mentioned, I was actually messaging Paulette a couple of times during the session. There are over 125 county residents who participated in this virtual snow summit tonight. So you all should really stop for a minute and give your own selves a round of applause. That's excellent and outstanding. And really what we do comes down to snow operations is really a partnership with you all, our residents. We're happy to do the work, but it goes a lot better when we can do so in partnership with everybody working together. And so I just want to thank you all for taking the time out to get educated and to share this information with your residents. So I just want to thank everybody for that.
And Paulette, I would also like to thank everyone for their support, especially for the men and women who will be out plowing snow this winter. We've been given some excellent information from all the agencies, and we really need your support in order to implement a program that's representative of Prince George's Proud. So again, we want to thank you for spending this time with us, and we encourage each of you to stay safe and stay well. And we know that you want to do those Thanksgiving gatherings next week, but we ask you to observe all of the COVID-19 protocols and love your loved ones from a distance. So we thank you for joining us this evening, and I turn it back to Paulette.
Thank you all so much. And thank you again to our guests. We really appreciate you. And I don't know, Tiffany Miner, she's been working in the background. Can you pull up the last slide, please? Because this is what I'd like to leave you all with. So please have a warm and safe winter. And we really appreciate you. And we'll talk to you hopefully at the Community Partners meeting on December the 3rd. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody. That was awesome. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.